Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Discover New Music podcast from us at Pelt Music. I'm absolutely delighted because in a moment I'm going to be chatting with San Demas, who just released a brilliant new EP, The Valley, and absolutely tore it up at 2000 Trees. Before then, though, it is the usual reminders from myself. If you would, please do follow Full Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on X and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And again, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching. But now it's time to go with the podcast. So let's get on it. Welcome to Rich from San Demas to the Discover New Music podcast. Absolutely
Thank
delighted
you.
to have you on this evening. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here, mate. It's a pleasure. And yeah, we're doing great. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, well, I'm ecstatic because I get to chat to you, and obviously, just sort of discovered San Demas and sort of dived in and reviewed your EP that's just come out, and I want to get into that because it's obviously an exciting time for me to be able to talk to you because this is an exciting time for the band. And to
Hmm.
kick us off, it is the Discover New Music podcast. So we always start with the same segment. So before we dive into that EP, I'm going to stick with tradition and keep the same first segment for us, and that is called
Hmm.
the Origin Story. So it's the Discover New Music podcast. Hopefully, some people might discover some new music here. So for anyone
Yeah.
unfamiliar with San Demas, Origin Story can sound a bit superhero-esque and grandiose. But it's probably the simplest question we're going to go for. Simply, what is the background of the band? How did you all come together?
Well, firstly, you said the name perfectly, so big up yourself. That's not many people do that, so that's always good. So San Demas, the name comes from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
I thought so.
Um, it's like one of my favorite films as a kid, and the soundtrack's amazing. It's about like two musicians that have to basically save the world, but they can't play their instruments. I was like, that sounds about right. These songs are like, from my teenage years. And I mean, like the song You and I, it has a good guitar bit in it that my dad used to play to me as a kid. And I've sort of adopted it for the song. So these songs go way back, but we started in 2021. And yeah, now 3 EPs later, we've got a new lineup, but we're excited for the journey ahead. We've had lots of wonderful things this year, like 2000 Trees, and we've got this gig coming up at Sub 89 in Reading this Friday, the 25th July. And yeah, the next EP is almost ready as well, so we're
Ah,
super
well.
excited.
Yeah, that definitely. I mean, I use the word exciting. It definitely sounds like an exciting time. And I love that obviously the name comes from Bill and Ted because I did wonder that. I didn't want to
Yeah.
directly ask, but I love the series of films. Like, I
Oh,
absolutely
brilliant.
love them, adore them, like, grew up watching them. So, yeah, no, amazing,
Amazing.
amazing. And you touched on You and I. And that is the next question I want to go to actually, because
Mm.
I'm a man of tradition, and we normally follow up that first question by asking about the song of the bands that were featured on the accompanying podcast, and that is You
Mm.
and I.
Mm.
So, what can you tell us about You and I? What is the song about? How did it come together for you?
So you and I, it's an interesting one because at the moment I've been writing the music, and whoever writes the lyrics is sort of changed for each song. So this was the first song that Maz, the bass player, had written the vocals for. Um, so that was really cool, and each of us wrote a different song on the EP vocally. So Maz was sort of, he originally called it The Valley, which we named the EP in the end, and it's about sort of like a relationship that's in dire straits, but you still kind of see hope for it in the end. Like that pre-chorus, erasing, replacing. It's about like turning the page on the problems in the past, and the chorus is like about hope. Erasing the problems and moving forward, basically. Um, I think he wrote it about a chapter in his life when he was younger. Um, so he drawn from like previous experience. But yeah, the song, it's quite inspired by bands like 30 Seconds to Mars. That verse guitar is kind of like from Yesterday. Don't know if you know that song by 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's meant to be our sort of more poppy song. But we've had such a nice response about it. It's become like our biggest song, which has been really special.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I picked up on the word hope there, and there's a sort of theme I felt in the EP of hope, which is nice given that the world is such a terrible place at the minute. It's nice to have a bit of hope for the future. And obviously, the EP to move us on to obviously the Valley that has just come out. We've given it a glowing review. Absolutely loved the EP for just quality tracks each and of
Thank you.
themselves, if you understand me. But as a whole piece as well, just works really, really well. So it's been out for a week, 2 weeks, something like that as we talk, I think. So I always like
Yes.
to
Yeah, yeah.
ask just around back in the day. This is where I make myself sound old, but back in the day, during the war, um, there obviously was a delay in bands sort of getting feedback because you'd have to wait for a magazine to publish or you'd have to wait to play a show and talk to some fans. But obviously, feedback is just so instantaneous these days. And obviously, you've made this piece of art, you've stuck it out into the world. It's quite a vulnerable position to be in, and obviously asking for critique. How have you found the reception to the EP?
Yeah, really good. I mean, we're still quite up and coming band, I would say. We don't have like a massive fan base yet. So a lot of the feedback is from people that know us and like us as people. So um, it's been nice to have some more like neutral responses and people really vibe with it. We get tagged in stories where people are like, "Oh, you and I, it's like my favorite song of the year" or something crazy. I'm like, "Wow, this is cool." And that's the joy of writing music, just to connect with people and they connect with the songs themselves in their own way. So it's been really nice to have that feedback, and it's not going to be for everyone, but hoping they can connect with it in some way.
Yeah, no, I'm sure people will. It's just, yeah, it's such a fantastic EP. Listeners, I do plug throughout the podcast. Definitely, if you haven't heard it, there will be a link in the bio. Go and listen to it. It is, time you're not going to regret spending because it is a great EP and
Thank you.
intriguing as well. You said that obviously the follow-up EP is kind of well down the pipeline, and I just
Mm.
wonder as well how much the feedback and the response to obviously the Valley has potentially lent itself into where you're going to next.
That's a good question. I think it's partly the feedback we get about the Valley and what songs have gone down well, but also like how the band feel about it. I think we're going to take on much more of a collaborative writing process now, where everyone feels much more a part of it. So yeah, yeah. I think it will probably have a similar kind of vibe where um, you know, there'll be a poppier song, a heavier song, a more like slower tempo song, and then revisiting an old song with our newest singer Lucy. So that's a little inside scope for you.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to hear it. Absolutely, and I plug normally at some point during the podcast the social media channels, and it feels like a good time to do that because obviously, listeners, if you obviously listen to you and I on our playlist, or you've picked up on the EP and listened to it, there's more coming from the band, and you're going to want to follow the band on social media so you can stay up to date with everything. So it should pop up in the corner, and it is San Demas Music on Facebook and Instagram, and San
Mhm.
Demas Band on TikTok, which I still don't understand TikTok, but
Mhm,
for
yeah.
anyone that likes TikTok, San Demas Band over on there. So with the Valley, just one more sort of question around another
Mm.
song on there that I've really enjoyed, and that's this Borrowed Time. Uh, I want to dig into in a second just the video, but just as a precursor to talking around the video, what could you tell us about Borrowed Time itself?
Yeah, Borrowed Time is, you know what, our most popular songs in some instances in the underground scene, it's been like Seascapes and Borrowed Time, and they're the slower songs. It seems to be that there's a vibe there that yeah, it's not as flashy, but it's got a quality to it that I'm not sure I can put my finger on. Um, but it's Lucy wrote the vocals for this one. And again, it's about a theme of like a relationship going through its troubles. Um, but again, there is an element of hope there as well. Um, and yeah, the music wise, I wanted to do something a little bit different where your focus is on the bass guitar. because for me the verse is it's about the rhythm section mostly.
Hmm.
So the guitar is I just keep it simple for myself, and I make it really difficult for the other guys. um, so it starts with the bass guitar riff. So hopefully the listener will lock in on that and follow that narrative through the song. And then in the second verse, we flip it so it's got a swing version of the same thing. Um, and then there's a lot of octave guitars, which is sort of inspired by Beartooth and a bit of Plethia maybe. Um, and yeah, it was the only song on the EP that no one had ever heard before when the whole thing came out, because we'd already released You and I, All In On Me, and Wait and Wonder separately. So the feedback to that has been really nice, and we've never played it live. It will be played for the first time this Friday, so excited for that.
No, I bet you are, absolutely. And I always get excited to talk about music videos. Regular listeners to the podcast know that I always try and pick some videos to talk about. I grew up obviously at a time when Krang and Scuzz were massive,
Yeah,
MTV,
yeah.
and obviously I'd watch it before school, after school. But it's really a dying art these days.
Yes.
Not many people have the time, can afford to, want to invest in an art form that probably isn't going to get the attention that it used to do. But obviously, I love that. I think all of your singles that I've seen have got sort of videos to accompany them, and some really sort of good quality work there as well. They look like visually, really, really nice, like performance videos.
Mm.
And Borrow Time is a great performance video with obviously some other elements sort of in the mix as well, which I always think just adds like a little bit to it. So, I mean, how important are music videos to you as a band? And how have you gone about creating these videos for this EP?
Yeah, we're really lucky. We've got some really talented people in our lives that really want to help and believe in the band. So Raw Pictures have done lots of our music videos, and also Mortal Media. Ironically, Mortal Media is the screamer in All In On Me. So he's guest vocaled on a song, and he's also done the videos for some of our songs. So it's been really special to have those guys on board, and they're super talented at what they do. With Borrowed Time, because it's a slower song, we wanted a bit more B-roll footage and a narrative besides the performing. So they went to a really nice spot in London for that, which was cool. And yeah, it's nice to have that visual element, because like you were saying, I miss the days of Scuzz and Kerrang, where you could sometimes a music video can make a song for you, like just watching
Yeah.
it and those memories you associate with it. Um, so yeah, I'm hoping people will watch the video as much as listen to the song as well.
Yeah, I absolutely implore that they do. There'll be a link in the bio for this episode. So again, listeners, if you haven't checked out any of the videos yet, definitely go across, have a look at them because, as you say, Rich, they just add an extra layer to the song. There's still videos, that you can remember from watching back in the day and stuff that maybe have impacted on a haircut or a dress style or whatever. You get so much more. And I know we're in a different age these days, and there's other platforms to engage with bands, but
Yeah,
back then when bands were very inaccessible, it gave you a glimpse of them to some extent. So I think
yeah.
it's such a vital art form still. And thank you, obviously, as a band for keeping it going. Because some of the bands I talk to, I look and they ain't got any. So I'm just
Oh,
like,
really?
oh man,
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a shame whenever that happens.
Mm.
But yeah, so as I say, we've talked about the EP and some of the songs from the EP. Once a band normally writes the music, they like to go out and play live. And you touched on earlier, my favorite festival in the world is 2000 Trees, and you
Oh, wow.
just got to experience the 2000 Trees experience. How was it
Yes.
for you?
Yeah, magic, man. Like I've already bought my ticket for next year. Like, and same as the bass player, we're like we've got to come back. It's just something special about it. Like I've been to other festivals, and they've all got their own unique qualities, but there's a reason this festival's been voted the best medium festival for 3 years running. It's inviting, it's welcoming. Everyone feels a part of it. It's very safe. The music's great. Everything's really well done and put well together. It's not too big. You can walk around really easily. I really love the acoustic stages. Each campsite has its own acoustic stage, which was really cute and endearing. And yeah, memories are made for life for sure. So I really recommend, if you're thinking about a festival, 2000 Trees, give it a go.
Yeah, I endorse that message so powerfully. Yeah, I'd heard so many positive things. I first went probably about 6 or 7 years ago now, and it's just
Mm.
one that I'd have to go to every year now. Like you say,
Yeah,
before anything's even announced, it's like, yeah, no, I already know that I'm going. Don't care who's playing.
yes,
Like the festival
yes.
itself is enough for me. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Glad you obviously got to have such a great experience there, and
Thank you.
yeah. For listeners as well, you've touched on obviously playing Reading on Friday. I
Mm.
did note you got a couple of more shows coming up, another Reading show,
Mhm.
Cheltenham and Festival you're playing at,
Mhm.
and Bicester. I don't get to talk about Bicester enough on this podcast. But yeah, playing in Bicester, which is great. So again, the links in the bio of this episode. The listeners, I do encourage you go and see if you can find a show with San Demas and check him out live. And if you can't get to any of them shows, again, if you follow him on social media, this is where I've made the note to make the plug. Then obviously you can keep track of any shows coming up, which I hope obviously there will be some more.
100%. Yeah, we've like I say, we've got a few in August and hopefully some more throughout the rest of the year. But we'd love to see you guys there. That'd be great.
Absolutely encourage all listeners to jump on that and to whet their appetite. We've got the final segment of the podcast, which we always start with the origin story. We always finish with something called set list science. I said I'm a music video fan. I always call myself a music video geek. Probably even more than music videos. I'm a set list geek. I just love. I go to a ridiculous amount of shows, and I love to obviously sort of track and look at what bands are playing, what order they're playing it in, what they're doing different show on show, tour on tour, etc., etc. And there is a science, I feel, behind set lists. And I'd just like to ask the very first question is really simple.
Mm.
How much importance do you place into the structure of your set lists? And have you got any rules that you tend to follow?
Yeah, that's a great question. You got to do a bit of trial and error, especially when you're putting new songs in and you get used to how you're linking them and the backing tracks and whatnot. You have to be careful with tempos because sometimes like a slow song can be really slow if you put a really fast one before it. So like Seascapes and Borrowed Time, we have to put that at the right point because if it was after a really faster song, like Seasons or something, it just sounds so slow. So yeah, another thing for me being a bit annoying for the other guys is guitar tuning. I have to change guitars, so certain songs have to be put together because I have to change guitars. And yeah, just the general vibe of the set, like the songs that we want to finish on are usually the best ones, and starting with like a real upbeat songs. We tend to start with You and I at the moment. We have the the drum and bass remix to walk onto, and then You and I starts, so people get used to hearing what the vocals are, and then the song starts and they can sing along now they've heard it a little bit. So
Love it.
yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can see the passion, which is fantastic. The bit I picked up on there, which I don't think enough bands sort of certainly talk to me about in the answers, is just that trial and error aspect. Because things are going to work well, things aren't going to work so well, and obviously bands that are sort of switched on to that, picking up on that, and able to adapt. I always just think, when I am following bands across sort of tours, shows, etc. I can tell the ones that have actually sort of picked up on things that aren't working, and I
Mm.
know it's always a mix of you got to make it work for you. Like the science aspect certainly comes into tuning and making sure that you've got the right sort of changeovers in the right places.
Yeah.
But obviously it's working for the band, but it's working for the fans as well, and trying to find the perfect sort of solution that works for both to make a show. And yeah, no, obviously I can see the effort you put into that. So you passed that sort of first question, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah.
The sort of second part of the question that we added in. Year or so back now, really, when it became an internet meme just around encores. And it obviously was that whole peekaboo for adults, it was called. Now, as a romantic like set list lover, there's something romantic to say about an encore, as it were. Like you feel
Mm.
like you need an encore, but equally these days I'm getting older, as I said earlier, and often I want to go to bed, got a train to catch, something like that. And actually, I know you're going to play more songs. Would you just hurry up, and get on with it, so I can
Yeah.
get going? So I mean, yourself as either a fan, or obviously for San Demas, the simple question really is encores, yes or no?
Good question. Yeah, I think it's good to do because some people will want more and some people won't, and they can choose to come and or go. There's bands like Laney that they give you the full set list before the gig. They post it on socials, so you can see what songs you want to sing along to, stay for, which is it's a risk because I've been to one of their gigs. I'm like, oh man, they're not going to play the songs I wanted and whatnot. But I think an encore is cool. We've been caught out once or twice with it where people are like encore and we're like, oh, okay. We hadn't prepared for that. Um, so I think it's a good thing. We do Into the Night as our encore. And yeah, I think it can work. It is a bit staged, but going to a gig is like theatre, you want to have that
Hmm.
theatrical element as well. And yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, no, I say there's a romantic sort of element in my head that I'm just like, yeah, I do like it. But I mean, a tip for I give out on this podcast sometimes is a guest that we had on a long while ago on this podcast, who's one of my favorite bands, and absolutely like love the guys. But I was at a not a podcast, I was at a show, one of their shows, and I knew what the set list was because I followed the tour and I could see they were playing the same set list every single tour, and they had an encore booked, and they went off for that encore, and the sound guy basically just turned the lights on and turned some music on, and everyone left. And I'm just like, hang on, they've got the two best songs to come out. You can see the band almost peering behind the curtain, going like, "What?" And everyone had gone, and that was it, and it was done. So I mean, the tip I give to bands is if you are going to do an encore, actually let the right people know, so you don't end
Oh
up in an
God, yeah,
embarrassing scenario. But but yeah, yeah, definitely one that they'd have learned from. But
yeah.
yeah, absolutely love being able to talk about everything that we've just talked about. I say, listeners, this is where I just drive home my sort of messages to you. Obviously, You and I is a fantastic track to start off with. If you're diving into San Demas for the first time, that's the song I would recommend. Go over listen to that, and once you've gone, oh yeah, this rocks, then you can check out obviously the Valley, fantastic EP. You can watch the videos, and you come along to a show. That is absolutely what I encourage listeners to do. But I love to leave the podcast, finish it off with just giving the final message to the guests. So, Rich, what would be your final message for the guests, the listeners today?
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. We'd love to connect with you. Message us on Instagram or Facebook, maybe even TikTok. And let us know if you want to come to a gig, and we will hang out. We always love to hang with the crowd before and after gigs. And yeah, we hope to see you at Reading or Bicester.
Yeah, exactly. More people need to go to Bicester. That is a big message to finish the podcast. Lovely place. No, yeah, thank you so much, Rich, for your time and coming on the podcast. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you everyone for checking out the podcast. I really do hope you enjoyed that chat there with San Demas. Do make sure that you follow the band across social media to stay up to date with everything coming from them. And of course, check out the EP, The Valley, which is out now. Whilst you're on social media, though, you can also follow Full Pelt. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. Finally, though, from me, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening, because we'll be back very soon with another episode of the Discover New Music podcast.